Hello and greetings to all. I'm adding on to the video series of brownness having no nationality or national identity, geographical limitations and whatnot. Now, the title of this video is Are We Brown? Are We Red? Now, throughout the US and Canada with Northern Native American groups, there's a lot of symbolism behind the color red. You can hear it in the Red Road, also in pejoratives and misnomers applied to Native peoples, as in, yes, I'm going to say it, the Redskins team name and whatnot. So there's a lot of very strong significance behind the color red. Well, we have Chicano groups and other Hispanic groups who like to promote brownness, brown power, and whatnot. So are we brown? Are we red? Is there a difference? Should it matter? Now, somehow magically, with the division of the two nations of the U.S. and Canada along the Rio Grande, it caused a division between people. So all of a sudden, the people in the north turned red and the people in the south turned brown. Well, there's really no real difference when you see the skin color of full-blooded indigenous persons, whether it's a Raramuri, a Tarahumara person, or a Navajo or Apache person. There's really not much of a difference. Not one group is red, not one group is brown. Look at myself. I am somewhat of a light brown color. I can tan right now. I've just been indoors a lot and whatnot. I can tan, and I come from very brown individuals, and I'm proud of stating so. But I see myself as a brown person. Not because there's any difference between myself and somebody just north of Mexico who happens to be red. I pretty much encourage anybody to abide by whatever it is that they know to call themselves, whether it's brown, red. Even if somebody wants to be Hispanic or Latino, we got to respect the identity they've imposed on themselves. So out of that respect, I pretty much gravitate toward brownness, because brownness to me, as a Chicano, as a person who's of both Mexican American and Native American heritage, brownness is pretty much reclaiming the fact that I don't want to call myself Hispanic or Latino, which essentially mean white. I want to call myself a brown person, because that is what makes me. Stripped of my language, stripped of my nationality, I am a brown person. Anywhere I go, I will be a brown person. Whether I go to Mexico, they'll automatically assume that I'm a brown person. I can go to anywhere else throughout Anahuac, and I will be perceived as a majority of brownness. Then we go into terms with the whole mestizo situation, but as a person who is decolonizing and re-indigenizing, I call it mestizo as a derogatory term, similar to a lot of them that are employed to consider a person half of something and half another, less human, half human, half heathen, half savage, and half Christian. This is what comes to mind when you think of a mestizo. I am not mestizo. I come from very strong and beautiful brown people. Peppered in there's some European, French, and Spanish, but that doesn't define me. I've never even been to Europe. I've never been perceived as a white person, so why should I allow that to hinder my views on self? Now, the importance of unity of red and brown. Right now we're seeing, Black Lives Matter, immigrant lives matter, brown lives matter. We're all trying to make it matter, right? Well, there's a strong division between people stating Native and red lives matter along with Black Lives Matter, because a lot of people are starting to see that these are American U.S. groups wanting to make their lives matter. However, whenever you refer to people south of the border, then you're talking about immigrants, you're talking about Latinos. We are tied in along with Native Lives Matter, because we're not being killed because we're Latino, because that would mean that we're white. We're being killed because we're brown. We're being killed because we are not Eurocentric. We do not resemble Caucasians, and that is why we are being targeted in with a lot of other minority groups. So that is where it's important in stating, you might see me, you might hear that my name is a Spanish name. However, I do not see myself as an immigrant. I do not see myself as a Hispanic. Your struggle through Native and Red Lives Matter is my struggle as a brown person who's wanting to establish the fact that my life and the life of other brown people matter. When you look at a lot of these children, a lot of these detainees at these camps, they are brown, they are indigenous, they are not Latino, they are not white, they are brown/indigenous to a certain degree, and that is where my whole spectrum of indigeneity comes in. Because though we might be a bit light-skinned, a bit colonized, we're still within that same spectrum. And that is why it's important to not allow red, brown divide us, because these are just proponents. I compare it because I once was having a conversation with a Yaqui person, of the U.S. who said, "No, you guys are brown, we are red." Just to make sure that you mark the distinction, that the fact that even though she's indigenous, she's native, she's a naturalized. She's a more acceptable indigenous person than a person from south of the border who's in illegal status. So let's be very careful with the way we differentiate between groups, because oftentimes we are supporting these divisions that pretty much stem from white supremacy and the divide and conquer mentality. So I'm adding on to these series as I go. I really hope that you guys bear with me and stay tuned, and I hope to speak to you all soon.